Hello, welcome into this live if you look at this video on Facebook, or welcome to this YouTube video. So my name is Laura, I'm a somatic coach, and today I wanted to share something I heard yesterday that made such a big impression on me. I thought it might help other people too. So let's have a little discussion about what we look in ourselves as being symptoms that we should fix. Yeah, symptoms of like dysregulation, symptoms of I'm not doing right, there's something wrong with me, anything that we think should not be there, anything that we think is wrong with us, anything that is not okay, not good, that is bad, that we think, oh, I have to fix that shit. Yeah. So just take a moment to see if that resonates with you. Is there anything that you think about you as being wrong and as you should fix? Okay, let's start from here. And I say those things sometimes, so we look at them as being symptoms that we should heal. Yeah, symptoms of something not being okay. And that may be physical symptoms, you know. That may be literally like pain, joint pain, or any kind of pain, physical pain. That might be the skin speaks a lot with us, right? So sometimes it's like dermatology issue. Maybe it's a rash that comes back, and something's wrong with our skin. But it might be also just like sleep issue. That's also a physical trouble, to not be able to fall asleep, or have like tremors in the body. For me, like when I speak of physical, I also refer to physiological aspect, something going on in the nervous system. And for me, when I think of something to fix about myself, is often the tendency to freeze. Like to really feel a sense of, oh, I'm frozen inside. Like I'm frozen in my body when I'm under an overwhelming emotion. When I'm feeling overwhelmed by what's happening, I freeze. Like I can't move as much. Yeah, I can't move as much. I can't move for my needs. If I need something, I'm going to feel stuck in my body. I won't be able to know, like even my thought process is like frozen. I won't be able to know what is it that I need. I won't be able to know which decision should I take. Should I make this decision or that decision? I can't even decide. Yeah, I'm frozen even in my thinking process. Things are not so clear. Like you have a frozen glass, you can't really see through. And then also frozen in my voice. I can't speak for myself, and I'm going to start speaking less and less. Yeah. So these are that freeze response happens on a continuum of behaviors and cues, different things that are happening. And for sure, I tend to not like that state because I feel so powerless in it. Yeah. I feel so powerless in my freeze response. So the sentence that I heard in a podcast yesterday was a woman speaking about what she had gone through in her life, and like she's working with the nervous system and regulating the nervous system, like all the stuff I'm really into. So that's why I was listening to the podcast. And she was saying how, like she said that sentence, like, that was my body trying to speak to me. It really hit me. Like, so she said something along the line that, yeah, that symptom was just my body trying to speak to me. And I thought, wow, how much do we dismiss the communication of our body because we think it's wrong and it should not be happening? Because it's primarily uncomfortable. Yeah, if like I don't know which things you want to fix in you that you've identified, but if you have like me something like a freeze response that is chronic, that often comes to you to freeze you when you feel overwhelmed, for sure you don't like that, and you want to change it, and the tendency to want to change will prevent us from looking deeper into it and seeing that's my body talking to me. That's my body talking to me. And there's more to the story than just I'm not feeling safe. Yeah, there's more to the story than that. It might be frozen because also I notice when I look at it, when I step back and look at it a little bit more, so I invite you to maybe do that right now. Step back from the symptom you notice in yourself and ask yourself, is there more to the story than just I'm not feeling safe? For me, I notice that symptom that I want to erase about me happens also when I would consider doing things that are just not aligned with who I am, or not aligned with my true self, or it's actually preventing me to go deeper into situations that are not a fit for me. So it's also my body talking to me in the sense like, that's not who you are, stop it. Yeah, that's not who you are, don't go there. So my movement gets reduced because it's not just I'm feeling threatened, it's also, it's not in resonance with me. Don't force yourself. That's how I can read into my freeze response and start to listening to my body. So I'm wondering, how about you? How can you read deeper into the communication of your body? And it's not just a reading, it's really primarily a listening. It's a listening. So I wanted to share this video today just to encourage you, like just to invite you maybe to look at that thing that you don't like about yourself and maybe step back. Step back, because it always helps to step back, to find a bit more space to approach yourself. And oh, thanks God I can breathe, yeah. Step back and go underneath the story that is happening, that we are making. We are active storytellers. We tell stories about what's happening, and we tell stories about what's happening within. We tell stories about the communication from our body. And when, for example, again, talking about me just to exemplify and invite you to put into practice for yourself, right? To try it on yourself. When I have a freeze response, what's my story? Usually it's that I'm judging the freeze response, like, again. Like, okay, again, I feel I can't move, and so I feel powerless. I go into the powerless storyline, like, really, I'm not even able to move for myself. I'm not even able to assert myself. Like, I'm so weak. I'm so unable. I'll never amount to anything. Yeah, that goes into that storyline for sure. And then there's also the other storyline that, yeah, because I have that reaction, something's terribly wrong with me. Like, yeah, again, I'm not able, but there's something wrong because I should not be feeling the way I'm feeling, because people around me don't seem so frozen, etc., right? So what are the stories attached to the things we want to change? That's another thing to observe. Yeah. So first thing to dig into is identify the symptom you want to change. Second is like step back a moment and just let it open, let the possibility for that symptom to not be something bad, actually, to not be good or bad, even just detach from any moral judgment, but just leave space for maybe it's my body trying to say something, and maybe what it wants to say is very intelligent, actually. It's a guidance, maybe it's even very intelligent. And after stepping back, third would be notice the storyline. What's the storyline attached to the symptom? What have we been telling ourselves about that symptom we want to change? Yeah. And maybe it's shyness, maybe it's not even physical, maybe it's more emotional reaction or more mental reaction. And making those distinctions between like mind, emotion, body has a huge limit, of course, because it's everything together, right? So maybe you can approach like a physical symptom first and then see how it's connected to an emotion and connected to a mind state as well, or mental approach. So that's great if you can connect all the dots. And that's great if when I make those distinctions, for you it doesn't resonate. That makes sense. So you're not doing anything wrong either. That makes complete sense, yeah, so keep going. Okay, then let's take another moment to identify the thing we want to change about ourselves, step back and realize, okay, maybe it's my body trying to communicate. Noticing the story that is being said, and if you can really pinpoint a moment where that happened, like when was the last time that symptom happened and that the story emerged, and see if you can go underneath the story. I love that idea of like going below the level of the language, going below the language. It's not beyond, because so much more has happened already. So you don't go beyond, you go underneath, you go below, before the language happened. Because in our existence, language does not come first at all, right? The body comes first. The body, the spirit into the body comes first. It's not the language. So let's go underneath our stories, and let's not try to change our mind about our stories, because that's not where things are being, that's not where the energy lives in its more primal force. It's underneath the language, and so it's in the happening of the body. And so if we want to open and start listening to the intelligence of the body, we have to go underneath the words, and we have to go into the realm of how we feel. I would invite even to go underneath the emotion. Yeah, emotions are helpful. It's like we have the sea of our being, the sea of the happening of us, and maybe like the first waves are how we act in the world, how we speak as well. So there's a lot of language at the top, on the surface of that ocean of our being, and then there would be like a cord attached to the bottom of it. And so imagine yourself just pulling on the cord, going underneath the language, underneath your behaviors, things you can talk about yourself. Go underneath all that. You reach also emotions, and go even underneath that and reach the level of the sensation, of that state of just being with. Yeah. And when you're at the bottom of a lake or at the bottom of the sea or whatever, and imagine you look toward the sky, it's like you have an open view toward everything that is above you, right? So you can see so much more than if you stay at the surface of the ocean that you are and try to look, okay, what's happening? You can't see so much. So you have to go really deep and underneath all of that. And then your view gets clearer. Yeah. And we know how there are different kind of waves as well, but also the top, the surface of a body of water is so sensitive to its environment. Maybe the most sensitive part of a body of water is the top of it, because it's so sensitive to the air all around, and the environment is going to react to it a lot. So it will be even harder for us to see through, because there's so much reaction, so much going on. So let's take another point of view and go deeper into the ocean of our being. I really like that metaphor, right? The ocean of our being. I really like it. And it's like a somatic dive. It's really a dive into ourselves. And into, like, from doing to being, basically, a lot. So take a moment to just be with the symptom that is happening for you. Or be with the memory of the symptom, so you can experiment it a little bit again. Just a little bit, okay? And if I remind myself of what it's like to be frozen, to be with the freeze, that's all I'm doing at the moment, this stage. You know, if you kind of follow the steps as I'm inviting you to try out for yourself, just observe how you can stay at that level of the ocean of your being, just stay in the bottom, at the bottom of it, where things are just happening as sensations. And you can notice nothing is good or bad, because even the moral judgment is just higher up in the ocean of your being. It's not at the bottom of it. There's no moral judgment there. It's just things that are happening as they are. And I sense the contraction around my belly. It's uncomfortable to be in freeze. And I notice all the other things that are frozen in me. Like I sense the contraction in my legs now. I stay with it. And I stay with it. Wow, it changes. Some of those contractions are softening, and then maybe the tensions start to move, like deep tidal waves. Stay with the sensation as they are happening, and just notice that they are happening. Notice what happens as you stay. Notice, yeah, maybe there's still like the mental labeling of this is uncomfortable, that's fine. Keep going under the language. Keep staying with the force, your life force. That's where your life force is. It's in the happening of your body. It's not in the language of it. It's not in the language and the story you make of it. That's what I mean. Maybe close your eyes if that feels good, and then start to bring back like the context of when did it happen last, like that symptom you would like to erase, that you were considering is not good. When did it happen? And stay present to the sensations. Just bring back a little bit of memory. Stay with your body. Stay at the bottom of the ocean of your being. Stay with the movement. And stay with your breath. Like if you haven't brought that into your awareness so far, bring it in your awareness now, like the breath, and notice how the breath keeps moving. Inhaling and exhaling. You're not making the inhale happen, you're not making the exhale happen, you do not have to do anything happen, it's just happening. Yeah? We're really just at the level of the being here, at the bottom of the ocean of our being. Things are happening by themselves. They don't need us to happen. We can just be them. Be with or just be with. Be. I'm getting confused. It's be with or just be. Be it, fuse with it. Just be the ocean happening. And I would invite you, if you can just be, and be the breathing with the sensations that you feel from the symptoms you want to erase about you. Start noticing how even at the bottom of the ocean there is some kind of movement that might be like similar to the movement of the breath, which is an opening, a widening, and then a condensing. Getting bigger, getting smaller. Widening and getting shorter. Expansion and condensation. That pattern of movement is always very soothing to come back to. I will invite you to stay with that pattern as you stay as well with the sensations that were there. Like the communication of your body, something frozen in you, or something painful in you, or something, whatever the pattern you wanted to change about you. Just bring back some movement maybe, or some support. It's a support to stay with. maybe from that, just notice the body might want to move. Yeah, that's fine, let it move. Be movement. Notice if there's any thing that shifts deeply in you. It might not come from words, it might not be words yet. There might be a softening, there might be a warmth, there might be a soothing something. There might be just a new experience coming in. This being at the bottom of the ocean of a being, staying with what is there and being in the gentle tide of our breath. And maybe suddenly you see, as you look at toward the top of the ocean, like toward the wave, maybe the storyline has changed. Yeah. Somehow for me it has changed, you know. Somehow suddenly I'm feeling, I'm sensing that I'm stronger than I give myself credit for. I have so much love in me also. I'm surrounded by so much love. Or this ocean of my being is made of so much love. Yeah, and that was completely absent from my perspective before, when I was judging my freeze response. I was in weakness, I was in not being able to do things, I was in absence of compassion toward myself. But somehow coming back to the gentle tide of the breath at the bottom of the ocean of my being, staying with being, what's happening there at the bottom, then when I look back up, wow, things are completely different. So we're not trying to do anything here, we're just letting ourselves be and letting ourselves receive the intelligence of the ocean of the being we are. Yeah. It's all within already. What we have to do is to listen. And suddenly I was feeling so much tension in my throat, and now suddenly it's like sparkling, and even in my hands it's all sparkles like champagne. Oh, that's so nice. Okay. How is it like for you? And just noticing, yeah, it's enjoyable, but oh my God, what a different quality of being here. And it's all movement, so I know it's going to go away, but the bottom of the ocean is always there for me to go back to. It's always there for you to go back to. Okay, that was a very impromptu, spontaneous video I wanted to share, just sharing what was so impactful for me to realize our symptoms are just our body trying to speak with us. And I wanted to share it through my own, colors and reception of them, and inviting you to that short guidance around the ocean of our being, and going underneath the language, going underneath the moral judgment, the judgment, going underneath the language, the stories, the emotion, and just really abiding at the bottom of the ocean of our being, and then looking back up maybe, or abiding there with the breath. So I'm curious to know what it was like for you, and I would love to hear what your thoughts are, your impressions, anything you would like to communicate. I'd love that. I'd really love that. Some people still contact me by private messages, and I really welcome that. So if you want to shoot me a message on Messenger, that's welcome to just share about your experience. I'd love to hear. And if you're on YouTube, I'll write my email address so you can share also, if you prefer more privately, how it's been like for you, or what is that practice of abiding at the bottom of the ocean of your being. How does that enrich your life now? If you try for a few days, for a week, I'd love to exchange on that. And I have so many things to tell about that practice and about that practice of deep listening to the body and just really letting go of the mindset there's something wrong. That's a practice I'm doing personally a lot. That's my practice of the year, probably. Finally letting go of the belief, subconscious belief, that there's something inherently wrong with me. So I'm gonna share a lot more about that from now on, I guess. Next video maybe should be in the lines of that. We'll see. This is all spontaneous. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that sharing, and see you next time. Bye.